There we go. Hi students. So today we're going to work on air brake inspection for automatic truck, and which is Class A. Okay. So first thing first, before the exam, you can do it before or after. So if it's before your exam, then you can come to the truck, check your wheel ahead of time, or when the examiner comes, you can check your wheel then. Okay, so on these two. Okay, so again, if the examiner is here, you're gonna say, tell him, I'm gonna come out and check my wheel first. Okay, you're gonna check there, and then you come in. So come on in, and we're gonna start doing our testing. All right. Once we come in, you adjust if possible. If you can adjust ahead of time, that will be helpful. So this way you can be nice and situated. Okay. So once you get your feet and set your handles and so forth, all right, get your length there. Your mirrors all adjusted. All right. Make sure this is up. Make sure it's on neutral for this truck. Make sure it's pulled. Now you're going to tell the examiner, make sure you put on your seatbelt, of course. All right. Okay. With this all set, I want to make sure it's under 90 psi for my primary. This is my primary gauge. This is my secondary. I'm going to turn on the engine, not start it, but turn it on so I can see where my reading is at. Okay. So it's coming, and you can see it's over 90 psi. So what we wanted to do is we want to bring down to 90 psi by pressing my service, which is my brake. Okay, each time you press, it's gonna go down really quickly. So on automatic truck especially, don't over press. Okay, as you notice, one press, it goes down. You stop, now you press again. Okay, maybe 1,001, 1,2, 1,3. Okay, so do it again. 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna give one more. Okay, right there. That'll be good to start. Okay, so that's 90 psi right there. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna tell the examiner I'm ready to do my air brake inspection. My first inspection is applied air leak test. After I say that, now I can. And I'm already on neutral again. Make sure it's all pressed and pulled up. Then you can start the engine. Okay. Now once I start the engine, I can press my accelerator. Okay, to 1300. Okay. I'm revving up to 1300. Why? Because so I can speed up my time in terms of getting the air into the air tank. Okay. So you see, make sure your window is down, because then you can hear it. If you have your window up, you can't hear the psst sound. Okay, so we're looking for that psst sound. So what we're looking for is until the needle stop rising and our governor cuts out. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so again, that part we can wait at the end and we say it, it's fine. You can tell them ahead of time. It's good too, since we have the time for it. Okay, time clock. So during this time again, I can reset my time. This time is the battery obviously already ran out, so that's why you need to have your cell phone ready. You hear the sound, okay? So once it stopped rising, so I'm going to tell the examiner now is my needle has stopped rising, my governor has cut out right here. Okay, so now I'm looking at it, I'm reading it. You got 100, 160, 140, 120. Okay, so you got to know how to read it. So right in between there will be 130, but we're below 130, right? Above, well more than 130 as we come down, right? As you can see. So I'm going to tell him, says this, my primary reading is 133. Once it's set, I can shut off. By the way, during the exam, you can ask him, says, is it okay just to read the primary? If he says, no, I want you to read both, primary and secondary, then you're going to read both settings. Okay, they're a little bit different, but we're going to say my primary is 133, my secondary 135. in that way if the examiner says you have to read both. Okay, so in other words, during the, before you start doing the air brake inspection, examiner is going to say a lot of words of what to do, what you need to do, because you need to do your air brake inspection and also your in-cab inspection. Most likely it's going to say you're allowed to do any way you want it, whichever way you want it to start. Okay, so you're going to ask them, and it's going to ask you, do you have any questions? You're going to say, can I just read the primary? And he says, fine. All you have to do is read the primary going forward. Okay, all right, so with that in mind, then once we set the reading, we shut off the engine. Okay, once we shut off the engine, as you notice, my hand is right here. I didn't leave my key. I need to turn right back on. Okay, not starting the truck, but turn it back on. It's very important that you turn it back on. If you don't turn it back on, it's automatic fail because you can't read the readings. All right, with that, again, that's where the reading is at. Now, next part, press your tractor and trailer brake. Make sure it's nice and pressed in. All right, again, I have my cell phone. If I have my cell phone, I get its timer ready and make sure it's on silent. So this way it will not have any disturbance during my training, during my testing. Okay, with that pressing, as you notice, we went back down, and now I'm gonna press the service. Very important. Once I press down service all the way down, I can do 2 feet or 1 feet and make sure it's nice and press and hold, and it's gonna stop right there. Okay, so that's 100. Below that, right, that's 60, 80, 90. Right there, I would say that's 96. Okay, so I'm gonna say my primary reading is 90. I would say 97. My primary reading is 97. I shall not lose more than 40. My 60 seconds starts now. Press it in. I shall not lose more than 4 psi during this 60 seconds. Okay, so that's, then with that said, you set your timer and put your my cell phone. I will put it right here so that the examiner sees it. During this 60 seconds, you have to make sure you're fully pressed. Okay, do not let go at this point. Okay, all right, let's pretend 60 seconds is up. Okay, then I'm gonna beep beep beep. Okay, done. My 60 seconds is up. My primary is 97. I did not lose more than 4 psi during this 60 seconds. This is a good test. Once I'm done saying this is a good test, now I can let go my feet. Never say it before. Never let go your feet before. Okay, so every step is just need to be just that. Okay, first one usually is a little bit more procedures, but second one it's a lot easier now. So the second one that I'm going to do is low air warning test. This is my second example. And what I'm looking for is my buzzer and light should come on no less than 55 psi. Okay, so in order to do that is I'm going to press my service. Okay, as you notice, one press and I stop. Do it again and stop again. Okay, as you notice, it go down fairly quickly. I know it's going to be about 63. So on this truck, you see, so never over press. Okay, so as you can see, my buzzer and light came on at 61, right? 62 psi. Okay, so my primary is at 62 psi. This is a good test because my buzzer and light came on before 55 psi. Okay, so this is my second test. So my third test is pop out test. So it should my spring brake should pop out between 20 to 45 psi. Okay, so that's where it's gonna pop out. Okay, so all I do is press the service. Okay, just keep on pressing down. I'm waiting for it to pop out. Okay, don't rush, just press one at a time until it stops. I know this truck is gonna come down about between there, so again, the lower the air, the smaller increment at a time. Okay, again, make sure don't over press. There you go. Okay. All right. Now, when it pops out, now this is how you read it. You got 0, 20, 40, 60. Okay. Again, you got 20, so above 20, so I would say that's about 25. Okay. So my primary is at 25. This is a good test because both my spring brakes pop out between 20 to 45 psi. So this is my third test. Now, this is good test. So if once I'm done with the third test, now we're going to go to the fourth test, which is the tug test. My tug test, then I need to make sure I go down and remove my chock. All right, so now we're gonna go down and remove the chock, and so that we can come back up. Okay, all right, let's go down. Let's go. All right. All right, now when I come down, door must be closed. If you don't close the door, 1 point. You gotta make sure you have the keys with you at all time, because we're gonna make sure your truck will be still here. So, and it's mandatory that they make sure you have that, okay? Make sure you have the keys always with you. And now we're gonna remove it, okay? Remove the chock, we're gonna place it back in, and we'll come back into the truck. All right, oops. All right, just put it back there. Yeah, we're gonna come back in. Right. Now I put back my key, get back into the cab. Okay. Now, again, always put on a seatbelt. Now, at this time, because we're doing the tug test, we want to make sure to tell the examiner, can you put on your seatbelt, please? Okay, so at this point, we want to make sure that he has the seatbelt on. You can turn it on. Again, we wanted to ramp up to 100 psi because we want to bring air into the tank. So by bringing it up to 1300, okay, so we're ramping up our, make sure we put enough air into it, okay, and then I'm going to turn on it. There we go. It's hot in here, so okay. So again, bring it up to 1300 so we can bring the air into the tank, okay? All right, almost. Now, the fourth test and the fifth test is we're gonna test the tractor trailer brake on the spring brake itself. And then lastly, number 5 is to test the service brake. And then we're done, okay? So that 5 steps, we make sure that every part of it, we know exactly what to say. All right? Okay, now we got 100, okay? We want to bring a little bit more because we know it drops. So we want to make sure that we have sufficient air and will not have that problem, okay? So we do want to bring to about 120 for this truck. Normally 100 is sufficient, but because I know this truck does leak a little bit for some reason with that, okay? So with that, at 120, we stop. For the tug test, I'm gonna test my tractor first. By testing the tractor, I'm gonna release my trailer brake, okay? All right, with the release, now I'm going to press it down the brake, put on drive, make sure it's on AECON 2, make sure that is on the symbol. Once I release, watch, it went on to neutral, right? So you want to make sure that it's on, drive, on AECON 2. Now I press the accelerator, okay? You see that? Just move a little bit. You're gonna make sure you have that shake. This is a good test. My tractor brake held in place, okay? So I'm gonna bring up my trailer now. So now I'm gonna test my trailer brake by releasing my tractor brake, okay? So I'm testing the trailer brake now. Do the same way. Again, put on neutral, okay? And bring it back in again on D. Make sure it's on AECON 2, okay? okay? Very important, okay? Once you release the service, you press the service. You see that? Just a little bit, okay? Don't over press, just a little bit movement is enough, okay? This is a good test. My trailer brake held us in place, okay? The tractor brake, same way. Earlier, I should say that the tractor brake held in place, okay? If we're not comfortable with it, we're gonna do it again, okay? Any part of the exam, if anything that is not said or done properly, you can always go back and redo it again, okay? I should have said that earlier, so I'm gonna do it again, okay? For instance, right? So tractor, I'm gonna do the tractor test again. So make sure that we have the right setting, okay? Again, bring back on the drive, okay? Let go the clutch, press it. This is a good test. My tractor brake held in place, right? So now again, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pull out both. Now I'm gonna test my trailer brake by releasing my tractor brake. Okay, so now we're gonna test the trailer brake now, okay? Make sure all the air goes in there. Again, let go. Make sure it's on drive. Okay, AE Con 2, press the service. You see that? It works good. All right, this is a good test. My trailer brake held in place. All right, now as you notice, it went down. Right, the reading. That's why I was talking about earlier. Okay, so with this, I want to make sure I have sufficient air in the tank, at least 100. Right, so I want to make sure it's pulled. Okay, make sure you put on neutral. Make sure the spring is all the way up because it's got low air, transmission low air. You see that? Okay, so it's important that the truck itself has sufficient air. And now you notice it went back in. Why? Because now it's go back to over 100. Right? You notice? So at least 100, now it goes away. Okay, now with that, our last test, the 5th test, is our service brake test. We're going to move forward 3 to 5 feet and come to a stop, and our service brake should stop us. All right, with that said, we're going to put on D. We're going to make sure we release the tractor and trailer brake, and we're going to move forward, okay, by releasing the service brake. Okay, and make sure that, hello? It's okay, Al. All right, we're gonna move forward a little bit. Just move a little bit. And now we're going to stop right there because most likely there will be people in front of you, another truck. So we can't go really far. We'll just go a little bit and press it. Press down our service. This is a good test. Our service brake has held us in place. Now pull both brakes up. Put it on neutral, and then you make sure to go through, did I screw up any of the portion? Did I miss anything? If I miss anything, or the test, let's say for instance, it fall more than 4 psi on our apply early test, you want to make sure that to tell them, says I'm going to redo the apply early test again because it didn't meet the minimum 4 psi. Again, any portion of what we just did, if it's not good, tell them, says, let me redo it again, okay? But once I see that everything is good, then I'm gonna tell the examiner, this concludes my air leak test, air brake, okay? This concludes my air brake test. Once I'm done with that, then I'm gonna start moving to in-cab inspection. Okay, go ahead and stop.